محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا إلى ما علمتنا فعلمنا ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وأرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه واجعلنا من الذين يتبعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه وأدخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين آمين. Just I want to remind myself and remind you this information or knowledge about the Salah. It is very important for every Muslim. And I'm giving you an example. When you buy a house, for example, and the house is not finished, how it looks? A house from outside looks great, but when you go inside and you find it is not finished, it looks ugly. So what we learn is to make our Salah perfect finish. And Al-Imam Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, he said, تعظيم الصلاة is to glorify the Salah, which is part of your taqwa. وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. This is a sign of taqwa. So if you glorify the Salah, so what is the meaning of glorifying Salah? What is the meaning of ta'zim Salah? Or glorifying the Hajj, or glorifying the Umrah? This is sha'a'ir of our deen. This is signs and actions in our deen. Imam Ibn Qayyim, he said, ta'zim Salah, glorifying the Salah, is to respect the timing of the Salah, and to respect the farz, and to know the sunnah, and to know the makruhat, and to know the mustahabbat, and to know what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do in your Salah. So this is azim. So when you know all the details of the Salah, and you try your best to follow, to obey, to try to do the Salah the same way like the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was doing. Now you are going to the ta'zim Salah. And as I always mention to you, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see you trying your best to make your Salah more perfect, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you more gifts in your Salah. And these gifts, basically, and the most important thing is the khushu'. This is the first thing He will give you, the khushu'. So if you are not trying to perfect your Salah, then don't ask why I'm not doing khushu'. Don't ask, because you already have a shortcomings in your Salah. That's downside of your Salah. So you have to try your best. And I'm not saying this is for only the public. I'm saying this is a knowledge that everyone should learn. Everyone, even the imams, because sometimes the imam makes mistake. He's human. He's not perfect. So if he don't know what to do, then he make a problem for his Salah. As for the Salah. So one of the books I really enjoy always to keep all the time reading. I know this is in Arabic. This is a book in Arabic. It is called Dhawq Salah, the taste of the Salah, for Imam Ibn Qayyim. This one is amazing. You need to keep always reading this book. So it is not one time. As we are learning how to make our Salah perfect, now see more than 25 lectures. We are trying to understand how to perform our Salah in a perfect way. 25 lectures. It is not easy to all the time remember everything. That's why you need always to go back and review. Try to watch these videos again. So every time maybe you miss something, so you can refresh your memory and remember it. Because as I told you, we are human. We forget and we make mistakes. And that's the most important thing about these things that we need to learn. We need to learn. So for example, the zikr after Salah. As I mentioned, not many people, they know exactly what is the sunnah in zikr after Salah. So there you read, so now you know. After 1 week, you find yourself that you already forget some of the zikr which the Prophet ﷺ teach us and told us to make after the Salah. So that's why you need to go back and refresh your memory and so on. So they are going to talk about what is the actions which can make your Salah void, invalid. And this is so important. So basically, it's two categories. Two things that can make your Salah void. So the first thing, if you do something haram. If you do something haram in your Salah. And the second category, if you are not doing something that you are supposed to make it in your Salah. So let's take the first one. So the first one, they are saying, the scholars say, doing haram in your Salah. So what is haram? So when you start your Salah, you make takbir al-ihram. Means that now, when you announce al-ihram, means that there is something that becomes haram. You are allowed to do it before the Salah. When you say Allahu Akbar, now this thing becomes haram. And what are these? First thing is to eat and to drink. So we are not allowed to eat while we are offering prayers. We are not allowed to drink while we are offering prayers. Now, for the eat and drinks, so there is some comments from these scholars. So the scholars, they said, if you eat or drink by mistake, so by mistake you start your prayer and you have your water bottle beside you, so you open it and drink. So normally if you know that this is haram and you do it, then your Salah is void. If you forget that this is haram and then suddenly you take a sip of water and then you put it back. So scholars, basically, Imam Shafi'i and Imam Ahmad, they said if you make it by mistake, so it is accepted. It is okay, by mistake. But other Imam, they said no, it is not allowed even by mistake, not allowed. Now, another question will arise. Some people, they are not cleaning their mouth, so they eat and start prayer. So there's some remains of the food between teeth. So the scholars, they said, it is allowed as long as it is not bigger than a piece of chickpeas. Right? So this is the maximum. More than that, it becomes now void, invalid Salah. So I always, as the Prophet ﷺ, he teaches us to clean your mouth and and use the siwak before you start your prayer to make sure that you have a clean mouth. Because the angels, they are with you and they are close to you, and the angels will be hurt with the smell that comes out from your mouth. So the second one is speaking, morally speaking. So somebody goes inside the masjid and he says assalamu alaikum, so you are in your prayer, so you say wa alaikum salam and you continue your prayer. Your salah goodbye. So we are not allowed to speak in our salah. While at the beginning of the fast of the salah, at the beginning it was allowed that Muslims, they can talk to each other while they are praying. If somebody, cough or I think so, someone will check, are you okay, you good, and so on. So at the beginning it was like this, allowed, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this verse, وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ, means you have all the sincerity and dedication and the focus towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your prayer. Means you are not allowed to be, talking or interacting with anybody else while you are praying. So talking is not allowed. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told one of the companions when he talked in his prayer, he said that this prayer, it is not allowed to talk while you are praying from your normal talks to your normal talks. It is means the salah is for the tasbih and the takbir and the recitation of the Quran. The third one which can make your salah invalid is the extreme movement. Extreme movement. So Imam now said that the actions which is not part of your salah. So, for example, part of your salah that you may ruku, you stand up, you raise your hands, and you put your hands on top of each other. This is part of your salah. But any other actions, for example, so you need to scratch your skin, or you need to sneeze, you need to clean your nose, or you need to clean your eye, or you need to remove your hat, or your head cover, or your rectus slip you want to put back. So, the scholars, they said, all these minor things are allowed in prayer as long as you need to make it. You need to make it. And it was narrated in the Sunnah that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to carry his granddaughter Ummah, he used to carry her, and he was a baby, while he is praying, and then he put her down and he go for the sujood and so on. So this action is considered that it is not voiding our salah, because the Prophet ﷺ did it, because he was taking care of the baby. Other than that, so taking for shoes, for example, you boy jama'ah outside, and then you didn't have the time to take your shoes, so you pray with your shoes. Now while you are praying with your shoes, for example, or you remember your shoes is not clean, or it hurts you when you mix shoes or when you say, so you are allowed to take off your shoes while you are praying. And then anybody comes in front of you. So if anyone comes in front of you, so the Prophet ﷺ told us to push him back. So we are allowed to push anyone who wants to cross in front of us. So now the question, so what's wrong? Why we are ordered by the Prophet ﷺ to push back anyone who wants to cross in front of us? The scholars, they said, because anybody crosses in front of you, that it will first decrease your reward in your salah. And second, it is a big sin for him. It's a big sin for him, and it is decreasing your salah reward. So that's why we are ordered by the Prophet ﷺ to use the sutra. And I'll come to the sutra later on. Now, the next one is to laugh. Laugh while you are praying. Yes. Yeah, we'll come to this one. So, for example, your child is in front of you, and your child is doing something funny while you are praying. So you watch him because you are alone at home. So you are allowed to look to your child if you are alone, and your child is somewhere around you. So we are allowed to look at our children while we are praying. So if your child makes something funny, makes you to laugh. Now, smiling is allowed in your prayer, while laughing will void your salah. So if you laugh with the sound, then your salah is gone, and you have to repeat your salah. And then next one, if you skip a wajib, in your prayer by purpose. So wajib like the tashahud, first tashahud. So the first tashahud is wajib. So by purpose, you decided not to offer the first tashahud. Now your salah is void, is gone. So if you miss, or if you skip, in better word, if you skip the wajib in your salah, that will void your salah by purpose. What if I skip a rukun? Rukun, for sure your salah is done, because if you skip wajib, salah is gone. What about rukun? Rukun is more serious in our salah, so your salah will be void if you skip a rukun. Now, the next one is anything will break your wudu. So anything will break your wudu. So if you for example have gases, and gas gets out, and you are sure it's out, then your salah is void. So you have to make wudu and come back. So anything can break your wudu, it breaks your salah for sure. And then da'wah. And this is a very sensitive subject, because many people, especially men, when they come to masjid, or women, I can tell also, the awrah for the men, it is between your belly button and your knees. This is awrah. So we are not allowed to pray while our awrah is exposed. We're not allowed. So this awrah for the men is from the belly button to the knees, without women. Now women, there is opinions, there are different opinions. Some of the scholars, they said women has to cover everything from head to toes. Everything from head to toes. Other scholars, they said only allowed for the women to expose the face and the hands. The face and the hands. And this is the opinion of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, and it is the opinion of the Imam Shafi'i as well, and Imam Ibn Uthaymeen and Imam Ibn Baz. So this is the opinion which Jumhur ulama is considering, that the woman has to cover everything except the face and the hands. Now, What about if some of the awrah exposed while I'm praying? And this is happening mostly with men when they are offering sujood and they have a tight shirt, so the shirt goes up and then your awrah exposed. Now, some of the scholars, they say if the awrah exposed even for a little bit, then your salah is void. But Jumhur ulama said, the most scholars, they said if it is exposed for longer time means how much long we can say. They did not say how much, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You can't like this, but take it into consideration this way. So a person, he started his prayer. Then from the first ruku', his awrah exposed. And continues until he finish his salah. Then most of the time his awrah exposed. Then his salah is cancelled, is void. But if it happens that when he made ruku' or he felt that his awrah exposed, so he then pushed back his pants, put down his shirt, then he covered the awrah. So it is okay now. It is for a short time that he felt and he fixed it. So it is allowed. And the action which he did, it is also acceptable because he needs to cover his awrah. The next one, to add an extra rukun in your prayer. Extra rukun. For example, make extra sajda. So you make 2 sajda. So after you finish the second sujood, or then you tell yourself, the sajda, I didn't have the khushu'. Or I forget to say subhanallah al-a'la. So you repeat the sajda again. So now you're making a third sajda. Now you spoil your prayer is handled. Because this is rukun, we can't add any extra rukun to our prayer. Now what about al-fatiha? Al-fatiha is rukun. I read word al-fatiha, I didn't feel the khushu'. So I just touch, I finish al-fatiha, I didn't feel the khushu'. So can I repeat word al-fatiha? It is makruh. It is makruh. So you can do it, but it is makruh. So now, it is makruh. What does that mean? It means that my reward will be cut. But maybe you'll get better reward if you have khushu'. So you have to be compromised. Make sure when you read al-fatiha, because the key for your khushu' in the prayer is Surah al-Fatiha. It is Surah al-Fatiha. That's why it is named Ummul Kitab. Ummul Kitab. It is the mother of the Quran. The biggest thing in Al-Quran. The greatest surah in Al-Quran is Surah al-Fatiha. That's why we need to focus while we are reading Surah al-Fatiha. So if I repeat Surah al-Fatiha, I repeat one more time, it is makruh, but if you are sure you are good, you can have more khushu', then maybe you can do it. But I'm not advising you to do it, it's you decide. Then, to make a scene before time means when you are making sujood, you finish your sujood, you sit down before you making tashahhud, so you make a scene. So now your salah is gone. Your salah is gone. So making taslim before it's time, that will void your salah. The next one is to have the intention to finish your salah. Means when you are offering the prayer, so now for example, the doorbell rings. So I say to myself, I will go cut my salah, I go and open the door. Once you have this intention, you still didn't do anything. Once you have this intention that you want to cut your salah and go out, now your salah is gone. Because the intention now switched, it's changed. Okay? So make sure when you are in your prayer that you always focus on your prayer. Let the bell ring as much as it can. Forget about it. Okay? Make sure you focus on your salah, you have the khushu' in your salah. Now, let's talk about the crossing in front of the musalli. And this is a very important topic we need to understand. Abdullah ibn Samit radiallahu anhu and Abi Dharr. Abi Dharr Ghafari said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if anyone stand for the prayer, so he should have a sutra, which is equivalent to the end of the ride, okay, end of the chair of the ride, equivalent to the height of the chair of the ride in front of you. So if you don't have it, then your salah will be cut. If one of these will cross in front of you, a woman or a black dog or donkey. So if any of these cross in front of you, your salah gone. That is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he asked Abdullah ibn Samit, he asked Abu Dharr, he said, what's wrong with the black dog? Why only the black dog? What about other dogs? He said, because the black dog is the worst among the other dogs. So the black dog specifically will cross your salah, will enter your salah. And there is another hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that 3 things, if they cross in between your hands while you are praying, it will spoil your salah. A woman and dog and donkey. Now, why the woman? Why the woman? Now the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, woman, any woman, which woman? My wife, my daughter, my mother, or another foreigner woman. So let's take this hadith on Salama radiallahu anha. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was praying in her room. So he was praying in the room of Salama. And then the 2 kids of Salama, Abdullah or Umar, one of them, he goes close in front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he raised his hand, put them back. So they turned back. And then the daughter of Salama, she come and tried to cross. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stopped her, but she didn't stop, and she continued from the front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, they are always wing over us. They are always wing over us. So this hadith makes clear that children will not cancel your salah. So if it is a small child, a daughter or a young girl, it will not cancel your salah. So the scholars, they said, why the salah is answered by these three categories. So woman should be an adult woman, regardless she is your wife or she is your daughter. As long as she is an adult and she crosses in front of you without sutra, then your salah is void. Now, some scholars, other scholars, they say it is not void, but you will lose dramatically your reward in your salah. So some of the scholars, they said it is not void completely cancelled, but dramatically you lose big reward from your salah. And now, what can we do? So that's why it is always preferred to have the sutra. And it is narrated that the Prophet ﷺ used to have sutra in front of him. So what is the sutra? He said something equal to the height of the chair of the ride. You know, when they ride on the camel, so they have a chair on the camel. So the back side of the chair, and that is the height which is needed, which is about half meter. So I think I can raise on the floor for a half meter. This is considered as sutra. And it is narrated that the Prophet ﷺ, even when he was in Arafat, so in Arafat, it was an open area. It's an open area. So the Prophet ﷺ, he put his spear in front of him and then he offered to work. So that's why the scholar is, the sutra is wajib. So that's why, so the companions, they understand this, and they used to, if they want to pray in the masjid, so they try to pray behind any pillar. Now, how much distance I need to put this sutra? For example, I'm praying here, so should I put the sutra there? Beside this brother? No, it should be just in front of my sujood. In front of my sujood. This is where the sutra has to be, in front of my sujood. So anyone pass after the sutra, that will not affect myself. It will not affect myself. So if they want to cross in between the sutra and myself, then you have to fight them back. You have to push them back. And this is allowed. Now, next one which can avoid or cancel our salah is to pray in the other direction of the qibla. Instead of praying to the qibla, you pick the other direction if you know. That is the condition. If you know. For the qibla, from here you pray to the other side. Your salah is gone. So that's why we need to make sure where we are praying before we pray, especially when you are in an open area. You need to check. If you have internet, then you can easily find out. If you don't have any internet, then try to check the sun direction. So from the sun direction, you know where is the direction of the qibla. If it is in night time, then you need to learn something about the stars direction. At least you know. Now, if you try to know, for example, you know that some people are living there, so you go and ask them where is the qibla direction. But if you don't even bother yourself to ask, and you don't have the tools to check, you don't check anywhere, and you pray the other direction of the qibla, you pray south instead of praying east, for example, in Canada, and then the next day you find out, I pray the other direction. So if you did bother yourself to check and investigate before you pray, then your prayer is on. So that's why you are obliged to check and investigate for the direction of the qibla. Now, what if I pray a little bit off the qibla? That is no problem, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَحَيْثُمَا كُنْتُمْ فَوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. So it means we are not supposed to know exactly where is the direction of the Kaaba, right? So if we are off with little degrees right or left, we're still okay. We need only to get direction towards the Qibla, and that will be enough for us. But if you are in Mecca, you need to exactly direct your prayer towards the Kaaba. If you are in Mecca, you need to direct your prayer towards the Qibla. The next one, if you know that you have something najis on your clothes before you pray and you pray with it, if you know that there is najis on your clothes or your shoes and you pray while you know, then your salah is void. So if you don't know and you pray with the najas while it is on your clothes and you don't know, it's okay. After you finish your salah, you discover, for example, there is some najas on my clothes, then your salah is okay. You don't need to repeat your salah. So, and next one, if you, for example, making qiyamul layl and you choose to stand and lay your back to the wall without any reason. So you are in good health and you can stand properly, but you decide to lean back, your back to the wall, and you offer prayer. Now your prayer is cancelled. Why? Because you have to make the qiyam alone. Now, if you have a problem, you have some sickness or back pain, you need something to help you standing, that's no problem. If you have no excuse and you choose to lean more back to the wall, now you make a problem for yourself and your salah comes void. Now, this is what we have for the action or the things which I cancel my prayer. Now, I want to start with the new topic, which is Salah al-Jama'ah. And this is so important, and there's a lot of things I want to talk about, and I will end up with a very sensitive topic, which is the mistakes which we are doing while we are offering Salah al-Jama'ah. Mistakes, or people mistakes, Muslimin, Salah mistakes, they are doing while we are offering Salah al-Jama'ah. So this is a very important topic, so that we will know, so that we will not do it anytime. So, now, to start Salah al-Jama'ah, first we have to know who is entitled to lead the prayer. Who is entitled to lead the prayer? So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the one who will lead the prayer is the most one who knows, who memorized the Quran. Then if they are equal in Al-Quran, then the one who knows the Sunnah. Then if they are equal in the Sunnah, then one who is elder in Hijrah, migration from Makkah to Medina. So if they are equal in Al-Hijrah, then the one who start Islam after, who become Muslim earlier. And based on that, now the scholars, they have classified these categories into these things. The most important thing is to that the Imam should know the fiqh of the Salah. So for example, they say if you have two persons, one is hafiz, he completely hafiz, but he has no clue about the fiqh of the Salah, while the other person is not completely hafiz, he's hafiz a little bit, but he knows the fiqh of the Salah. So the one who is supposed to lead is the one who knows the fiqh of the Salah. And this is must. This is must for every Imam who leads the prayer. He should know the fiqh of the Salah, just in case something happens, so he will know what to do. But this is Salah, and it is not, no, it's not something that we should not take care of it. That's why how serious it is that every Imam should have the knowledge of the fiqh of the Salah. And now, the conditions, this is applied for the masjid which doesn't have an appointed Imam. For example, we have some masjids here that has an Imam. There's an Imam. He is the one who is always there and he is leading the Salah. So in this case, he is the one who is supposed to lead the prayer. We cannot let anybody else to lead the prayer except if he allows him to lead the prayer on his behalf. Okay? So he is the one who is supposed to lead the prayer. Regardless, even a scholar come and pray behind him, maybe he is more knowledgeable than him, so he's not allowed to lead the prayer. So we are talking about these conditions about masjid which doesn't have an appointed Imam, that he is leading the Salah every prayer. Okay, so say them. Now, who is not allowed to lead the prayer? First one is a woman. Woman not allowed to lead the prayer. But now the scholar, they say it's a group of women, so one of the women can lead the prayer for the women themselves. So it means there is no man allowed to pray behind a woman. No man allowed to pray behind a woman because this is haram. This is haram. And Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Lam yuflih a group of people, they will never be a winner if they let a woman to lead them. If they let a woman to lead them." And then the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the best row for women is the last, and the worst is the one in front. So that's why in Salat al-Jama'ah we will come to this. Women should start their first row at the end of the masjid. This is for the masjid where it is a shared hall between men and women. But if when they have a separate room for prayer, then the first one is the best one, and so on. So we are talking about a masjid like this masjid where the praying hall is shared between men and women. So the best row, the first row for women is the last one, and the worst one is the one in the front. And then the prayer who is not having wudu. So if the Imam doesn't have wudu, he is not allowed to go for the prayer. And he knows, he's supposed to know. And then the one who can't read Al-Fatiha properly, the one who can't read Al-Fatiha properly is not supposed to lead the prayer. And the one who is having bid'ah, if we know that a person who is following bid'ah, doing bid'ah in his prayer or in his salah or outside salah, he is not supposed to lead the prayer. And the second one is the one who is fasiq. Fasiq means he is doing big sins, and everybody knows he's a liar, he's a cheater. This kind of person can't lead the prayer no matter what position he is having. And then if a person doesn't have the ability to stand, make it qiyam standing, or to offer the ruku' or to offer the sujood, he is not supposed to lead the prayer. What if the appointed Imam, he gets sickness and he is not able to, for example, to stand to make the qiyam, so he still can lead the prayer? This is likewise happened with the Prophet ﷺ when he becomes very sick before he dies ﷺ, and he would lead the prayer sitting, not standing ﷺ. That was allowed for the Imam. If he is appointed Imam for the masjid, he still can lead the prayer even he don't have the ability to stand or offer the ruku' or the sujood. And then the one who is everybody hate him because of his maybe he is aggressive and false, or people they hate him because for something reasonable. So not they hate him because I don't like this Imam. That's not allowed. So they hate him for something reasonable, which is affecting his deen. For example, if he is talking, some people when they speak, they have a bad way of pronouncing the letters, especially the Arabic letters. So sometimes they change the letter. For example, the letter R, change it to I or Gha. So this kind of person is not preferred to lead the prayer because he changed the word completely when he pronounced it wrong. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he said in the hadith, 3 persons Allah will not consider their prayer, and one of them is a man who lead a group of people where the people they hate him. So this is one person he is not allowed to lead. And then if a man having a problem in the pronouncing, for example, he is, we call it ta'ta, means he used to repeat the letter 3 times before he speaks. For example, so this kind of pronunciation in the Quran, okay, if he is alone, that's fine, but he is not allowed to lead the prayer. So this is up to here. Inshallah, next lecture we'll talk about the remaining of the subject of the Imam, who is the where the Imam should stand, where the Mu'tameen of Saleen should stand, and then we'll go into these mistakes of the Saleen, which is very important topic, inshallah. So join us next lecture. Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. اللهم اجمعنا على يرضيك واجعلنا من المتعبين فيه. اللهم اجعلنا هاجا مباركا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده معصوما ولا تجعل منا وافين شقيا ولا محروما. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا واسرافنا في امرنا وثبت اقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم فرج عن اخواننا المستضعفين في غزه وفلسطين وفي كل مكان. اللهم ايدهم بنصرك وافتح لهم ابواب فضلك. اللهم انشر عليهم الرحمات وانزع عليهم من بركاتك. اللهم تولى امرهم ولا تسلط عليهم من لا يخافك ولا يرحمهم. اللهم واجعل لهم فرجا قريبا عاجلا برحمتك وفضلك يا الجلال والكرم. ربنا هب لنا من ازواجنا وذرياتنا قرة اعين واجعلنا للمتقين اماما. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. جزاكم الله خير.